Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Hollywood After Dark. Today, of course, is the 30th of November, 2021, the final day of the month. My God, December's almost upon us. Big show tonight. George R.R. Martin caught saying things maybe not true. The Matrix 4 photos from Entertainment Weekly. Hawkeye viewership, also some piracy talk. Some Star Wars rumors. And perhaps a look at a new Batgirl promo image coming from filming. All that tonight, probably a hell of a lot more here on what is probably the greatest late night Hollywood talk show on YouTube. Let's dive the hell in, shall we? Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing? Welcome to the program tonight. I know right now there is kind of a battle happening on another live stream. Members of the community are kind of going at it. So if you're over there watching that particular sporting event, if you will, be sure to fill me in the comment section later about what I missed. But if you guys want to catch up on everything going on in Hollywood today, this is where you got to be. I'm just going to say it. I don't think there's any better late night show talking about entertainment than this show right here. I'm going to make that bold claim because that is simply how I am. I'm a bold individual, but I'm going to be joined in a quick second by another bold individual. I do want to quickly point out that as it is the last day of the month, I have been sitting on not one, but two copies of Alita Battle Angel in 4K that I'm going to be giving away. One is going to go to a channel member, and one will be given away to someone who does a super chat or becomes a channel member tonight on the stream. So if you don't have Alita Battle Angel 4K and you want it, which is a great movie, and you want to get it for maybe Christmas or give it away to somebody, become a channel member or drop a super chat, and that's going to be the giveaway for the month. Next month, I'm still figuring it all out, but we'll get to it here in a couple days. So I do appreciate everyone who supports the channel that way, but that is what I'm working on. But before we dive into to that, let me bring in my friend, Mad Max Mandalorian. Max, how's it going?
Hey, friend. Hey, everyone.
You sound all emotional me saying that.
No. Yeah, no, we're friends. We're good friends. You've been one of my friends. I always tell my story. Matt is the most legit YouTuber there is. When you reach out to him, he'll try to reply to you and be available to you. You trusted to come onto my show when it was a weird time for you, and you still reached out and gave me a shot. So we're good. We're good now. I hope everyone's okay, having a good night. Lots to talk about. I've been a little emotional lately, and I hope to be more focused, and just have some fun.
It's definitely one of those. Yeah, I mean, it's been an emotional. It's been like an emotional couple weeks. It feels like this has been an emotional month for me, like with the death of my friend, and just like I feel like it feels like there's always been a fight or two that's kind of been on the horizon. And I'm not normally against fights. I like them. But I'll tell you this. So like, I've been talking a lot about how like in the morning I take my kid to preschool and then I go to the library and I work on stuff. Right. And I work on generally the Stranger Days podcast where I just like do research and everything and get that ready to go. But I'm telling you right now, I've got like 14 episodes written that aren't produced yet. So I got a lot of stuff covered, like ready to go. But I've also just been in this place of like, I'm not feeling it. I'm just not feeling it. It's like I read some of these stories, human suffering type stories, right? The stuff that you're just like, not the most, like it's interesting, but it's like, do you really want to always kind of be in this particular space? And I don't, to be honest with you. I love talking about these kind of things. I love researching them, but there's times where you're just like, I don't know, man. Like how much of this shit can I really dive into? So I thought about it today. And I made the decision to bring back Patio commentary.
Oh, cool.
But I'm revamping what Patio commentary ultimately is going to be. It's not going to be like, I want to get into the movie discussion. I want to actually like talk about film from the perspective of someone who just really loves movies. And because one of the things I've noticed is, people always go like, "Oh, I love red letter media."
Mm-hmm.
All red letter media does to me is shit on things.
Yeah, that's
Like
true.
that's it. Like that's what they do. They crap on it, and they want to, and they do that because they know that that's going to get into the algorithm, and that's going to end up being, a big thing for them.
They present themselves that they're like as unbiased as it could be, but we kind of know what their stick is like, and you could pick apart anything really. There's very few things you can't pick apart.
Yeah, like some of their their Plinkett reviews I think are good. If it's a movie that I don't like, it's a guilty pleasure. And I understand there's a hypocrisy level there. But for the most part, I just do not engage with them on any front. And it's just because it's like I know people enjoy like best of the worst and everything like that. But for me, it's a little bit different. So it's like today, for example, I was kind of I was at the library and I'm looking around and I'm just like, man, like, what can I talk about? Like what movie can I talk about? And one of the ones I kind of keep going back to is Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within. And it's 20 years old now. I can't believe it's 20 years old. The movie came out. It cost a shitload of cash. It ended up like not doing very well. It tanked the studio that made it. It's a whole mess of a movie. But what I didn't realize, Max, is that the 4K actually came out just the other day. And so I bought it.
Cool.
And I just realized now
DVD somewhere.
I just realized now looking at this image that I could have clicked this button and saved an extra $3.50.
I use that coupon thing. Yes, you really have to look out for that.
Yeah, I didn't do it. It's already shipped. It's going to be here tomorrow. So, but what I also noticed here, look, the VHS tape is $9.45. And oddly enough,
or is that like
it's probably used. It's probably used, but the Blu-ray's $10. The VHS tape is literally 34 cents less expensive than the Blu-ray. But either way, like I want to talk about it. I want to talk about Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within, because the thing is, it's like I don't remember disliking that movie. I remember sitting in the theater in 2001 with a friend of mine and really enjoying the movie. And it may not have held up, I don't quite know, but it's one that I want to see in the 4K format and to see how it kind of plays out, because there's a lot I don't know if you ever saw that film.
Final Fantasy: Spirits Within?
Yeah.
Yes, I went to I think I took my dad to see it.
I mean, like if you remember, it's like it's definitely not Final Fantasy centric. Like it's not. They probably should have just called it The Spirits Within or something else, and it might have done better.
It's not my favorite. I like the special effects. I mean, I didn't hate it or anything. I didn't, I enjoyed it. I bought it on DVD, so I must have liked it somewhat,
Oh yeah, I mean, I enjoy it as well. I think I have it on DVD somewhere. But then tomorrow I'm going to have it on the on 4K, and then on top of that, I was waiting till I got paid because Rhea had won last month's giveaway, which was The Thing. So I sent that to her, and then I also bought myself a copy. I was in a mood. I was in a retail therapy mood. I was in a Blu-ray therapy mood today. So I'm like, you know what? I want to just like surround myself with things that I love. And that's another thing too, is like when people were criticizing Kevin Smith over the Masters of the Universe situation, and they're like this guy loves everything. He never criticizes shit. And I'm like, well, if you ever ask him about that, he'll be honest with you and he'll tell you. He's like, why talk about things I don't love?
I gotta say, Matt, I'm sorry to say I will not be watching that content. I'm a recovering addict. I've gone on 5 months now without buying any Blu-rays or Steelbooks. I'm not.
That's fine. I'm not gonna.
I love that series before, and I like to do that type too. But I'm like,
yeah, it will. I'll tell you this
series.
I like Blu-ray therapy as well, but it's like going to like Goodwill and stuff and finding things and giving myself a budget. But at the end of the day, like the videos get like 500 views. I
control myself though,
and well, they get like very few views. And for some reason, I'm not even going to lie about this, those are like my most targeted videos. Like for dislikes and shit. Like I'm not even, for some reason. Yeah, I'm not even making that up. Now I have a theory as to why that happens. because there are people out there who like to come at me still, and that is for some reason the material they like to go after the most. I don't know. But that ends up being the most targeted. But it's also like for collection, it's like, what do you do with it after you buy it? You know, it's like I only have so much space with my growing family and things like that. So, you know, I think about it. That's where it's like, you know, talking about movies like Podio commentary and like trying to like dive in and just kind of like talk about it and like try to present it from my perspective, because I feel I view movies a very specific way based upon my experiences and I can get hyped up over stuff that like maybe not a lot of people will get hyped up over, or maybe there's a lot of like apathy and in the world, because look, and I get it, man. Like right now, the last couple of years specifically, we've been dealing with this pandemic. We've been dealing with like the potential recession, the political divide, all of these things. And it does feel like, you know, there with the culture war and everyone attacking pop culture, attacking nostalgia from both sides. And it starts to build and manifest itself in this way where it is just easier to just dunk on it than it is to sit there and actually like, you know, engage with it. Like, for example, like last night we watched John Campea do mental gymnastics to try to figure out, you know, to try to justify why he was right about Spider-Man not staying in the MCU. And I made a meme about it. Yeah. That was the thing.
I saw it, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't have the context of why people were saying,
he was trying, because he kept saying, no, it's gonna leave. You know, Sony's gonna take back control of Spider-Man and not Marvel and all this stuff. And then here comes Amy Pascal, like, no, we're doing 3 more movies and stuff. And then he's trying to like harp on this one line of dialogue in the interview that he thinks is this gotcha, but like there's no context there. But he kept going back to it and like really pushing mental gymnastics.
Wow.
And look, and the thing is, like,
YouTubers just cannot admit when they're wrong.
Well, true. You know, and in this case, like, you know, we kind of made fun of it a little bit because we poked fun at Campy a little bit, and everything. And then people today were just like, there were comments like, "Why are you going after Campy? Are you just jealous?" It's like that, always that "Are you jealous?" line. No, I'm not jealous. I'm just like, dude, you had a take. The take was proven wrong. You won't admit you were wrong, and now you're trying to find any little thing you can to argue against. Instead of just saying, "Yeah, I got this one wrong." There's the thing is, here's the thing. I make claims all the time on shit. If I'm wrong, you know, again, like, not to dwell on the Snyder stuff, but just as an example, I have my opinion. It's well documented. It's also well disagreed with.
Yes, and I disagree on this.
yes, we do. And that's fine. And I have said repeatedly, I have repeatedly stated this. I hope to be wrong. It's one of those things where I hope to be wrong, and you hope I'm wrong. I hope
you're wrong. I know.
I know. But that's the whole point, is like, it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to have hot takes and to be wrong in those takes. The thing is, though, is that we live in this age now, and maybe it's nothing new, but, you know, our egos are designed to protect us. Our egos are designed to keep us safe. And so in those kind of situations, we will look for ways to argue that we're not wrong. I mean, we all do it to an extent, but it's like when something is as, you know, clearly laid out as, you know, as the business that is movies, and why Spider-Man is going to be good to stay in the MCU. It's like, you know, it's like, dude, come on, just admit you were wrong. But then he tried to, I'm not even kidding you on this one. He legitimately then tried to pivot and say that he's seen a significant chunk of the movie. Now, that has no bearing, by the way, on the trilogy, or no bearing on what Pascal says, but he tried to pivot to saying that he had seen a significant chunk of the movie because somebody sent him a piece of it. But he didn't specify how big a significant chunk of the movie is. It's if anything, it's only probably a couple seconds. But he's trying to play it up. He's trying to deflect because he doesn't want to admit that he's wrong, and he's hoping to kind of like dangle a shiny object in front of his audience. And let's be fair, he had like 4,000 people tuning in every single day to listen to him, especially if Spider-Man is in the title. So, you know what, dangling that little shiny piece is going to do a lot for his bottom line. So, I mean, and that's what's going on with all that. I think it's going to be, my whole take for going into stuff in the future is I just want for 2022. I really want to try to focus on like positive, movie talk, right? Like, cover the news, but like dive into things that we love, talk about movies, try to provide an angle of thought that maybe a lot of people haven't thought about yet, and then go from there. And again, that's mostly just all like a podcast thing. I was talking with Forced Adversity about it this morning, and he's going to probably help me try to figure out a format, because that's where I'm stuck on it, is figuring out a format. And
like you're like earlier you were talking about like Red Letter Media, and like I guess there's like CinemaSins, and that gets like, is there an alternate channel that does like great things in a movie? Like,
well, there is Cinema Wins.
Cinema Wins, okay. Not as many channels do that though.
Well, I mean, it's yeah,
and that's hard. That's hard content to like put together. Cinema Wins.
Well, it is, especially when you hear things like, "Oh, Critical Drinker is like the best movie commentator in the game."
God, it's so easy to hate on everyone. Hate on everything. It's so easy. I mean, we know what to do. Like, if you wanted to do it, you know what to do. It's very easy. It's very easy to pick apart everything, really, and then you can't enjoy anything. Makes you miserable.
No, well, that's kind of the whole point. Is like, I'm looking at some of this stuff, like, and I think to myself, like, okay, I can have, because okay, so when I used to work at the theater, when I worked at the drive-in, right, what we would do is, let's say we got a new movie, and I'll tell you, okay, I'll give you guys like a prime example: Alien versus Predator, August 2004. The movie just opened, and we were all watching it, getting ready, waiting for the end of the night when the theater cleared out so we could go and clean. And there was, a bunch of us hanging out, people who worked there, people who were friends, people who worked there. A lot of people were drinking, and we all just kind of hung around and watched the movie until my boss came over to me, and he said, "Hey, do you see this? You see this truck over there, or this van over there?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "You see that couch next to the van?" I said, "Yeah." He's all like, "That's not their couch." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, somebody left that couch, and we want it, but they're using it, so I need you to go get it." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" And he's like, "Just go get the couch." I'm like, "How the fuck do you want me to go get the couch?" He's like, "I don't know. Let's go get it." I'm like, "You go get it." He's like, "I can't. I'm drinking." Because we drank on the job a lot back then.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the night, no one cared. But I was sober, and so I was like, "All right." And I got up and I grabbed a pen and paper and a flashlight and a couple of other guys who were hanging out there who didn't work there, but they were very tall. One of them was like a basketball player for like University of Wyoming, huge guy. And we walked over, and I basically talked to the people, and I told them that they're going to need to take the couch with them. If not, we're going to fine them $150. And they freaked out. Well, because the thing was, like, we did what the couch was left there by somebody else, and they were just scooting it over to take, to use it.
Yeah.
So we still they were just going to leave it. So we still would have had to take care of it. And so I said, they kind of freaked out about it. And I said, "Well, no, it's no problem if you just take the couch when you leave." And clearly the van couldn't hold the couch. And they're like, "But wait, what happens if we don't take the couch?" I said, "Well, we're going to charge you $150. I said, "You can take it with you, or I can just take it from you guys right now and we'll call it square." And they're like, they just jump up, and all I do is go, I literally just did this. I went, that's it. I snapped my fingers, and the two other guys, Jared and Jason were their names, walked over, picked up the couch, walked it back like 50 feet, sat it down. I sat down on the couch, started watching the movie. My boss came over, handed me a cold one. I lit a cigarette, and I just started watching the movie, drinking a beer on this couch that I just fucking stole from these people. And we watched the movie, which is the whole point, is we watched the movie multiple times and we all talked about it, right? There were times when we had the movie The Core, that 2003 film, The Core, and it was like four of us huddled around my car, and we were all talking about like how scientifically, keep in mind, we're a bunch of drunk fucking idiots, but scientifically how the core could happen. Like how we could design a vehicle to get to the core. Like we're trying to argue pseudoscience while watching this very dumb entertaining movie. But that's what a lot of us did. We would get together like when we would do screenings. We'd have to demo the movie early to make sure it would work. So we'd all get together. You know, like I remember in 2014 when Godzilla came out, we all got together, waited for the theater to close, and then watched Godzilla like 2 days before it came out. Same with Captain America and Winter Soldier. You know, we had to test the film. So we all just went to the theater and we all watched it and we all joked about it. You know, we all talked about it and stuff. That's the kind of environment that I miss, is that group of people that like watching movies, that that can all kind of bounce off each other and then kind of add to the overall excitement, you know. And that's something I had many years of, and I miss that. You know, I miss talking about it, like, you know, the especially when someone hates something, like my boss, the aforementioned drunk guy, he loves Lord of the Rings the books, he adores Lord of the Rings the movies, but he hates how they changed so much. And when
Yeah.
he got really drunk, like when we're talking 18 beers in, because that is how much he drank on like a Friday night back in the day, it would be like a 2 hour conversation of why Lord of the Rings, the feature films, suck compared to the books. You know, but like those are kind of the fun conversations. That's what I'm talking about. You
Yeah,
know,
that would be
that's
great.
what I'm talking about.
To get it to work on YouTube, that's a good goal. I don't know how to do it though.
You know, it's more or less the idea here is just like, it's just I think to do it. And the problem is like what I want to do is like, look, I got this podcast where it's got, you know, I get about, you know, 1,100 to 1,500 average views every day on it, which means that there's, you know, a fair amount of people that tune in, and a lot of them are sub to the channel. I can see that in the analytics. So those people, if they want to check out something like Podio commentary or any other kind of discussion that we could promote, then that is positivity kind of going into that. And hopefully from there, it will build out over time. There's a podcast called the Blank Check Podcast. They've been around for a while, and they've got like, you know, they have a Reddit with like 14,000 people in it. And they talk about movies every week. They talk about a different film every week. And these are like 3 hour discussions. And,
Oh.
and generally it's positive, you know, because they're talking about these movies from these directors, and they're trying
We'd have to get the audience to watch the movie recently too, to get everyone on the same page, like rewatch it.
Well, that's the thing too. That's where my approach, my personal theory on it is like, if you look to see what's on, like, you know, what's on streaming, not, you know, even like new movies are one way of looking at it. The problem with new movies, especially on streaming, is finding data, like information about how it was made, or just factual information surrounding the project, becomes very difficult, because it doesn't get the kind of attention that a lot of these other movies do. You know, like for example, The Rock is out there today saying that Red Notice is like, you know, like I think it was like 60% of all Netflix accounts watched Red Notice, making it the most watched Netflix original movie of all time. And, you know, and it's like, but it's weird because no one's talking about it, you know, like, but then again, like, who's talking about it that we're watching? Is it because it's a new movie that it came out and like it's done and it's over with? Or is it because there wasn't any real hype leading up to it because Netflix didn't really promote it? And even when they promoted it for being in Cinemark theaters, the movie failed to pull in $1 million in Cinemark theaters, even with The Rock tweeting about it. So it's like, there's elements there. It's like, it's a different ball game entirely. But would I mind like doing a Podio commentary on Red Notice discussing like the finer points of the movie? Sure. Because believe it or not, I don't know if you've seen it yet, there's actually a fair amount to discuss. And there's a thing at the end I really want to talk about because it's so funny in the overall aspect of the entire movie. But it's like, I don't want to say a blinkety miss it moment, but it just, no one I've seen has talked about it yet. But it's like, I don't know, maybe
what you're talking about.
Have you seen it yet?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. when all right, it's at the end. You know what? I'll DM it to you later on. I don't want to spoil
Okay.
it. If
Right. Yeah,
hold on
check it
here.
out on if you have Netflix, use your account. You know what I find a lot of us fans do is we spend too much time in menus and stuff, and then it's just watching stuff. Like, it's available, watch it. It's a good movie. It's a fun movie. It's a popcorn movie.
Yeah, it is. It is. I just posted in the private chat what I'm talking about. So,
Okay.
do you remember that part?
No,
Oh, okay. Yeah,
my memory's a little iffy sometimes.
it's at
I
the
have
end.
to go. I can rewatch the end easy to see. Yeah.
No, I know that you got to go here in a second too. You know, but that's my whole point with everything. Before, you know, I like having the intro and having a heart to heart with the audience, because I feel like if there's transparency between me and you guys, then I think we can have a better community here. And that's totally the point. Although, here's a question. This one's aimed at you, Max. Augustin Boyas asks, if Grace gave you the chance, would you smash or pass?
Well, I am a married man. I'd have to get a certain hall pass first, and I'm willing to give her hall pass for certain individuals. If I had if everything aligned and I got permission, yeah, yes, I would. Yes, I would. Absolutely.
Well, what do you know?
I mean, if she consented, yes.
What is
Consent all around.
thing
Consent
here
all
says?
around. Like, if she wants to, you know, I'd want to talk about movies too while at the same time. I don't know.
But it says here, if Grace gave you the chance, would you smash or pass?
I would talk about movie math.
Oh, really? Is that like, is that how you'd whisper sweet nothings in her ear?
I maybe I misunderstood. I thought you meant like smashing the numbers for movie math.
No. Don't even try to downplay that. You know exactly what it is. You know exactly.
She's a beautiful lady, and we like the same things.
Yeah, you guys might have a lot in common. You could show on up and be like, "Yo, I've got the television amico."
To get really weird, just call me Zach, Grace.
Just call me Zach. I
should have gone. This is a point where I should have gone to bed.
Well, you know what? Before you go to bed,
that was really weird.
Someone's gonna clip that, Max.
Joking.
Someone is gonna clip that. That's okay. I wanted to ask you actually.
Ask me questions about Justice League 2, Grace.
Well, speaking of DC, I just want to get your take on this then before you take off. Have you been following anything involving the Peacemaker development?
Only when my pal RJ talks about it.
Did you see
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Did you see the promo clip that they popped out the other day?
No.
Check. It's only like a minute. I want to show it to you. I want to get your fresh take on it. Personally, this sells me on the show. It sells me on Cena, and I'm really excited to see what they do with it here. Give this a watch.
What happened is like it froze.
That's weird.
It's like started. I was like, and then I thought the stream got taken down or something.
We're still live.
Oh, okay.
No, we're still good. We're still good.
Just froze. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, there we go. Unfortunately, that happened. That's always an unfortunate thing. But I mean, I don't know. Could you hear the audio, or did the whole thing just freeze?
I saw a guy mopping and then it froze.
Oh shit. Okay, yeah. I'll have to send you the clip to watch.
Yeah.
Moisture here says that Warner Brothers is going to attack you. Maybe. But the thing is, I would recommend checking it out. Like, if you go to the Peacemaker Twitter account, you can find it. Mm-hmm. I think it's really funny because it sets up. For one, it's James Gunn. Two, I think it gives John Cena a bit more range because he's trying to be funny, but it's not like Bumblebee funny where it was bumbling. I felt he was really bumbling in Bumblebee. This is like, if you liked Peacemaker in the Suicide Squad, which is kind of hard to do at times simply because of the way that he is. And, but this is going to, I think, go well for a redemption, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. Listen, I am for DC properties going forward. I don't know why I feel like I have disclaimers, but I did not like the Suicide Squad. There were parts of it I liked. I prefer the first one. I know that's a hot take. The first half of the first one, it's more fun to me. But I actually am anticipating the Peacemaker series more than the Suicide Squad. Like I want, I still think John Cena's got a lot to prove as a star, but I'll give him a shot. The movie, he did not sell me as the Peacemaker, though. The movie, I did not like him as Peacemaker, but the series, I want to see as he has more time for the role, if he gets better.
Yeah. Well, Degrassi here makes a great point. It says Peacemaker has a certain earnestness. Yeah, and I agree. I like that quite a bit. That was the thing too with like John with Peacemaker in the Suicide Squad is you could tell he wholeheartedly believed in what he was doing, even though he did not want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That that's kind of how I was viewing that whole thing with him on that one. But I thought it was I really want to see Peacemaker. Although James M's here is asking, what, you didn't like the Suicide Squad? What the hell?
I don't hate it. It's I enjoy that type of humor sometimes. It's just not like, and I'm not a prude either. It's just, I didn't believe you. I always go back to like even the humor, like I'll eat all these bag of dicks on the island. I didn't believe it. He didn't sell me on that line. Like it would have been funny if I would have, some of the humor.
See, I think it might have been funnier if you didn't hear it in the trailer first.
No, I the first time I heard it in the trailer, I was like, ugh. It just, he didn't sell me. Like, sometimes you buy or sell like a performance. Some people work for me, it just didn't. In the characters, I like some of them. I like the villain. Starro was great. I thought that was interesting.
I
did a whole video on. I actually have to revisit and rewatch it again to give you like more thoughts on it, because I have a memory problem. I forget everything, but I did a whole video on it, giving my honest opinion.
Well, I understand that. I mean, it's one I quite liked, but I haven't watched again, and I wouldn't mind watching it again for more of more of an in-depth discussion. It's like, you remember when we did the discussion on Army of the Dead? Like you had just finished watching it, and Enosh and I had already watched it earlier, but it was also like, maybe watching it another time to kind of like dive into the further aspects of it that like we might have missed, because like that's kind of the hard part with like when you're doing the YouTube game, for like you have to like kind of rush into it a little bit, which is sad, unfortunately, but that's just kind of the way that goes. But all right, man, there's more stuff to get to tonight. I have a lot of stuff to get to.
I have a bedtime now, which is really lame.
Yeah. No, dude,
but doctor's orders. I've been off pop now for like a week. I can't drink caffeine afternoon, and I get really tired really quick.
Yeah. See, I've been nursing I had a caffeine headache, so I've been nursing a Rockstar, but I'm like, I should probably not finish it. And then just finish it in the morning,
Well, also, just so you know, my snacks are gone too, because my wife is getting us healthier. I'm not allowed to get cookies, chocolate, chips, and snacks. And we've been eating fresh fruit, vegetables.
Oh, that's good, man.
No, but then.
But are you exercising? That's the question.
No, not yet. She has started. I need to start. Yes.
Yeah, I
need to get healthy, because
you should ask Tommy Talrico for an exercise game on the Amico.
No, that they absolutely should do that. Definitely.
I'm actually being serious.
No. We fit.
I have the Ring Fit Adventure.
Yeah, I bought it for my wife.
On the Switch, yeah, I need to just hook it up again and stuff and do it. I was all like, when we first got my daughter into preschool, my girlfriend was going to take her in the morning, right? So my girlfriend's like, I'll take her, because my girlfriend doesn't work. Her office building is not that far away from the preschool, so she's like, I'll just take her in the morning, and then I'll go do work stuff, and then I'll go back and get her. I'm like, all right, cool. And then I'm like, great, my daughter will be gone. My younger daughter is easier to manage. So I can, I can do something with her, and then I can go and I can do like a Ring Fit adventure, like I can watch a movie that I hadn't seen yet and I can like review it, and then I can do like Ring Fit adventure, and I'm like, yeah. And then like all of a sudden that flipped where it's like, now I take my kid to school and I'm like, well, son of a bitch, you know? But yeah, I mean, exercise is key. That's the biggest thing I think a lot of us need to do.
No, I used to do it a lot more. I'm people that know me personally too know organization and time management is not my strong suit. I'm kind of like all over the place.
Yeah.
So I really need to work on it. And like part of it is I love movie talk this much, and it is later for me when you start, and it's hard to just go to bed.
And again, like here, I'll tell you, my ultimate goal would probably be to get, if like I could get enough like concurrent supporters on Patreon where I could, I could probably pull it. If I could get like, let's say I could get like 405. I don't want to say $405 ones. That would be the top tier. If I got like 250 people at $5 a month, that'd be $12.50 a month. That would allow me to more or less like scale back driving immensely, and then focus on just doing this, and everything else. And I could go earlier at like 9 p.m. Pacific, or even, 8 p.m. is difficult, but like 9 p.m. would be a good time for me. And then
you may need to do is like do like one or twice a week, do an early show in the morning, and you get a whole different viewership, and that's how you get.
Well, that's why I'm going to clip out the news segments and then go from there, because like that brings in more people. If you can have like the smaller videos, although granted, the ones I put out today were like upwards of an hour. So, cause the conversations were long, but people might find those in the algorithm and then come in and take a listen. It's a building process is what I'm trying to say. Then that's where I'm currently at with it. But, again, it's all for the future. I love doing it. I like talking to people. I want to do more. I just want to be, again, much like, after our conversation last night, I was heavily thinking about the whole headspace, mental health stuff, and it gets difficult sometimes to not get caught up in it, and that's where it's like thinking about what brings me joy personally is what sitting there and like just talking with friends and getting hyped over a movie. That is actually one of the things I truly do love, because it's just fun, and that's the thing. Like even tonight, I showed my kids Sonic. Because it was on Hulu. So we watched the Sonic movie, and as soon as it was over, my daughter, my 4-year-old, was like, "Can you play it again?" And I'm like, "All right, cool." Because she still had time before bed. And I'm like, "All right, yeah, we'll watch it again." Because it's a great movie. It's a fun little movie. Yeah. It's like getting hyped up. I was like getting hyped up to like go and watch Sonic 2 here pretty soon, And so it's like, that's the kind of thing that's fun, is like, we got to do more on that front.
Fourth 1,000. I got to head up, but that was interesting. Are people planning the
yes, I am.
After
I am.
The day and date's gone?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay.
I am, because I don't watch HBO Max or much else.
I can't, because that's the promise I made to my family. I'm going to stop spending money, but I need to see movies and stuff. So streaming. So I don't buy physical products anymore, which is hard. But I get to keep my streaming services.
I might pick it up again. I might keep it just for Peacemaker, because that's in January and I do really want to see that. And, but even that's only 8 episodes, so that's going to come out and be in around March or whatever.
Yet?
No, but that's on Amazon.
Oh yes, it's good.
I know. The thing is, I've read the first 4 books in the series, so I know the general setup for really everything. I know they've done like 4 episodes. It's like, what I might do that tomorrow when I'm at the library is just like boot it up and watch it while I'm there. But I'm probably going to start kind of scaling back some of the streaming services. And I mean, Disney Plus is a no-go because we use it every day. Hulu, I'm probably going to get that bundle if anything. So I'll just migrate that into Disney. And then I've got Amazon, but that's part of my Amazon Prime membership. So it's all kind of tied into that anyway. And then, I mean, Netflix. Yeah. I kind of have a justification for everything, unfortunately. So that part sucks.
It's how I'm an addict. So that's how I even for games, I do the Game Pass and PlayStation Plus, and I don't buy games that often. Like I still buy digital when I can.
Yeah.
When it's on sale, but I don't really buy that much anymore. I just rent or stream.
I just do streaming. Fourth here says I already canceled with Disney Plus. I am focusing on more physical activity than streaming. That's good, man. That's good. I mean, like I have kids, so I don't want to be murdered in my sleep. If we lose the ability for my daughter to watch Bluey, I'm pretty sure I'm dead. So there's that. But all right, Max,
All right.
I'll let you go, man. Go get to sleep.
Yeah,
Go
yeah.
get it on. I got to get through a shit ton of news tonight, so there'll be a
All
lot
right,
to
have a
to
good
pay
night,
attention to.
everyone. Have a good stream.
All right, see you later, buddy. Thank you very much. Check out Mad Max and Mandalorian, everybody, or Movie Madness Entertainment.
Yes, thank you.
All
All right, Allie's ready. Uh-oh.
All right, go to bed. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for listening to us chit chat. I like Max. He's my friend. I want to make sure that people know that we're cool. Rational here with $5, buddy. Thank you so much. Says, what do you think of Twitter's new policy of not being able to post private pictures of people without their consent? Well, I mean, that's a very interesting topic. I feel that when we talk about that, like they need to very much specify what that is. If it's like creep shot photos, I'm okay with that. But at the same time, what exactly does private pictures mean? Is it in a public location? Is it in a home? I mean, like I understand the crowd situation is definitely something that's like, again, that's like everyone out in the public and that's a different thing. But I don't quite know what this whole deal boils down to. A lot of people are pretty upset about it. A lot of people are arguing that Twitter is very much draconian and it's doing all this stuff. And it's, I don't know. I really have no idea. I really would hope that they clarified a bit more than they already have. But I think we'd have to really wait to see how they plan on enforcing it before really kind of figuring it out. It's, every time a company makes a move like this, every time a company makes a decision like this, so many people out there freak out. So many people out there jump to these ultimate conclusions that aren't always, true. For example, like the whole YouTube dislike thing. It's not a perfect solution to the problem, but in essence, it doesn't change anything. On the back end, the creator can still see that there are massive dislikes, and that's going to influence the creator in a number of different ways. And if you are disliking something for sport, then you are losing that ability. But that's not that's not what the thing was made for. So there's a nuanced approach to the subject matter, but there are elements of it that do need to be addressed differently, like blatant plagiarism or copying or theft or, people who are like disgusting individuals engaging in disgusting behavior that is definitely borderline illegal. I mean, there are elements of it that do need to be talked about, and it is an ongoing discussion in my mind. But the Twitter situation, I don't know. I have to wait to see how they enforce it before I think really kind of coming to to having an opinion with it really much. So all right. McLeod here says motherfuckers don't know what draconian really means. No, they don't. They really, really don't. Degrassi asking, how is it enforceable unless somebody complains? Well, of course, somebody would have to complain. Fourth year saying, I think it's going to focus much more on news media to eliminate the small journalist. So we are all watching CNN and Fox. That is a fair complaint. That is a fair complaint on that one. So, all right, why don't we dive into there's a lot to get to tonight. A lot of stuff to talk about. Why don't we get into the whole situation that people have been asking about in the chat here? And that, of course, is George R.R. Martin. How did he lie, man? What's going on? What are you talking about? What do you mean caught in 4K? All of these things are George. Well, it's not so much George himself, but it's lying via proxy, in my opinion. Okay, so lying via proxy, in my opinion. And that has everything to do with this particular post that came out today. This is from fandom.com. But George's agent had come out and talked a bit about what happened with Game of Thrones, with George R.R. Martin, with Dan and Dave, with HBO. And this is the highlights of it. Saying that George begged HBO to make the show last 10 seasons, totaling 100 episodes, says the agent. That is something that I agree with, actually. I think that one is something that they should have done 100%. Cutting it down to 8 seasons in the way that they did, I think that they should have expanded. The seasons were definitely rushed in regards to like how quickly people traversed Westeros, obviously. But this middle one here, this is where we start getting into it, right? This is where it starts getting a little bit worrisome here. When they say that he's not told anyone who sits on the Iron Throne at the end of the book series. How in the fuck can you have a book series or have a television show that's an adaptation of a book series where the show creators the showrunners are not told who the fuck wins the Game of Thrones. You're asking them to do something by having 10 seasons, which, by the way, would have ended this year in 2021 because it started in 2011, and he still has not released Winds of Winter, which is absolutely going to tie into this third bit right here, saying that he started worrying the showrunners weren't following his template after season 5. He never released the book, and in the end of it, he has said point blank that whoever wins the Game of Thrones probably might be different than from what was on the show. And George started changing his tune after the backlash to the final 2 seasons started to happen. So the fact that he hasn't told anybody who sits on the Iron Throne automatically means that when he was talking with Dan and Dave, giving them the outlines for the final couple books so they could wrap up the series, because, you know, he had already missed his deadline by a large fucking margin, he failed to provide them with the information that they needed in order to come to a proper conclusion as put forward by the original author. This is not a Robert Jordan Wheel of Time situation where he died before the books were finished written. And even, hey, Robert Jordan knew that his time was up. Robert Jordan knew that he wasn't going to live, he was kind of on the decline. So they brought in Sanderson in order to finish it out, and Robert Jordan handpicked Sanderson and gave him all the notes and gave him all the information that he needed in order to finish the series for the fans. It's been, by the way, 10 years since the last Game of Thrones book came out, book 4. And George has absolutely yet to release or give a release window of when that book would be coming out. He said in 2019 that or maybe 2018, that if the book is done by 2020, that fans can literally come and arrest George Martin to get him to finish the book. He jokingly said that a couple of years ago. We're now almost in 2022. Winds of Winter is still nowhere near completion that we know of. Never mind the fact that there's still the 6th and final book in the Song of Ice and Fire series that has not even been talked about at all, because we're still waiting for the penultimate edition to come out. That is what I'm talking about when I say that George is lying. He's been lying for years. He's been deflecting for years. He's been shooing off responsibility for getting the story done. He comes out, he tells Dan and Dave where he's going to take the story. He's not done with it by the time the series ends. He's not happy with how the series ends. That's fine. A lot of other people weren't either, but he still failed to uphold his end of the bargain, being the progenitor of the series. But in the meantime, you might hear occasionally, oh, George R. R. Martin's got another story coming on the horizon, right? Or what about Elden Ring? From Software working with George R. R. Martin on this new fantasy game that, by the way, comes out in early 2022. Geez, that's kind of odd. George is working on a fantasy game that's going to be coming out before Winds of fucking Winter. That is what I'm saying. That is what I'm talking about. All right? Like, that's kind of the point. And RPK with $5 here says, thank you. Did you ever see the video of Martin asking Stephen King how he writes so many books? It's very interesting, and Martin should have taken his approach. I didn't see that, but but that's the whole thing, is that's kind of the whole point. Stephen King has been able to nail it. B here says, how many Stephen King books have been published in that time? How many Clive Cussler novels have been published in that time? And Clive Cussler's been deceased now for a couple of years, unfortunately. How many James Patterson novels have come out? Sue Grafton, I believe, passed away. How many novels did she put out in that time period? There's so many other authors who have put out books in that time period. There's literally zero excuse that George R. R. Martin should not have finished at least book 5 by now. And what does that tell you? That there's something ridiculously wrong with the scenario, and all the signs point to GRRM. But because people have this, in my mind, an irrational hatred towards Dan and Dave over the last couple of seasons of that show, which aren't as bad as you might think, by the way. I'm sorry. I'm gonna die on that fucking hill. They aren't perfect, but they're not as bad as everyone out there likes to make them out to be. especially the Daenerys arc. People just simply weren't paying the fuck attention. That was laid the hell out. That pivotal moment where everything changed was absolutely laid out. If you watch, oh my, I don't even want to get into it. It's a whole freaking thing. But George R.R. Martin screwed the pooch on that one. And that's where my mind has been on it. So he's still full of shit. He is absolutely positively full of shit. And it's unfortunate that so many people out there are in this position of just going like, well, no, George, George, whatever. Stop defending the guy and start demanding that he finishes it, because that's the whole other side of this too. He got so caught up in the celebrity of it all that he failed to uphold his end of the bargain, which was finishing the goddamned story. There's that, right? Apparently, okay. We got the video here from this. How long is it? All right. You know what? I don't want to go through the whole thing, but we'll give it a watch. Okay. We'll give the video a watch for a few, because I'm on the subject and I'm kind of riled up over it. So there's that. All right. Let's take a look here at Stephen King talking to George Martin about why Stephen King writes so fast.
George, we're going to have to wrap this up pretty soon. Is there anything that you've always wanted to ask me? Because, George, I will.
Yes, there is something I want to ask you.
All right.
How the fuck do you write so many books so fast?
He's not caught up being a celebrity.
I think, I've had a really good 6 months. I've written 3 chapters, and you've finished 3 books in that time.
Here's the thing, okay? There are books and there are books. The way that I work, I try to get out there and I try to get 6 pages a day. So with a book like End of Watch, and when I'm working, I work every day, 3-4 hours, and I try to get those 6 pages and I try to get them fairly clean. So if the manuscript is, let's say, 360 pages long, that's basically 2 months' work. It's concentrated, but but that's assuming that it goes well.
And you do hit 6 pages a day?
I usually do.
You don't ever have a day where you sit down there and it's like constipation and you write a sentence and you hate the sentence and
Okay.
you check your email and you wonder if you had any talent after all, and maybe you should have been a plumber. Don't you have days like that?
No, I mean, there's real life. You know, I can be working away and something comes up, and you have to basically get up and you have to go to see the doctor, or you have to take somebody care package, or you have to go to the post office, because whatever. But mostly I try to get the 6 pages in, although entropy tries to intervene. You know, I did an event at Radio City Music Hall for charity with John Irving and Joe Rowling, and this was the time, J.K. Rowling, and this was
She's not going to get those applause anymore.
Finishing the 7th Harry Potter books, and I know that I've been very fortunate as a writer, and you've been terrifically fortunate as a writer. You worked for a long time, wrote a lot of good books, won a lot of awards, and then out of nowhere, all of a sudden, this crazy thing happens where all these books are suddenly New York Times bestsellers, and God knows it's deserved, but it's a sort of sudden thing. And here's the other thing, okay? People yell at you and say, we want the next book, we want the next book. They're like babies, we want the next book right away. I mean, it's a great thing to want that, but the pressure that you feel or I feel compared to that final Harry Potter book, you know, everybody wanted that, and she came to New York and she was nearly finished with it, and she'd agreed to do this event. And Joe was trying to do 3 things at once. She was going to do a vacation with her kids. She was going to finish the last 5 or 6 chapters of the 7th Harry Potter book, and she was going to do this event. And she showed up to do the sound check at Radio City Music Hall, and she was dressed like any housewife or mother or anyone who was on vacation. She had a shell top on and white clam digger pants and loafers or sandals or something, and her hair tied back in horsetails. And we were trying to talk about what we were going to do and everything. And the Scholastic Press publisher is pulling her aside and talking to her. And Joe was very polite. But when she came back and talked to me, she was really, really angry. And what she said was, they don't understand what we do they? And I said, how can they understand when we don't understand?
That's a good little video right there, and it's very true. It's absolutely very true. I think I agree with James here. It says, take serious notes. Anyone writing this genre, pay attention to how Stephen King does it. Six pages a day. You know, when I used to write screenplays, I would write for a couple hours. I'd give myself a couple hours, and I'd try to get through 10 pages. And, you know, and I'm a fast writer. There's nights where I'd crank out like 20 pages of script in a couple hours, but a lot of that is dialogue. And then I have to try to find a way to whittle it down and things like that, you know, and then also figure out like the format and the pacing and everything. A lot goes into writing. You have to lose yourself into it. You have to definitely cut out all distractions. And I think, honestly, I agree with Fourth here. George R.R. Martin is too busy getting Game of Thrones pussy. He doesn't care about the books now. He doesn't care about the books, which is why every time the show comes up, how it ended, it's always that shifting the blame to somebody else. It's absolutely positively all about everyone except George R.R. Martin. And I really feel that is something people out there need to reconsider how they view the HBO series, because I'm sorry, the guy failed with his obligations, and I don't have any problem saying that, and I would absolutely 100% say it to his face, because I think he needs to hear it. But in the meantime, he won't listen to me because he's probably balls deep in that Game of Thrones pussy. You know, I mean, it's probably that. It's probably that, guys. It's just, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. That's all I'm trying to say here is it's just sad. You know, it's just sad because I'd love to see, I'd love to see that stuff play out a little bit better. I'd love to see there be a lot more in regards to that. And with any luck, maybe one day we'll get to see it. Maybe one day we will actually be able to finish up the franchise and go from there, you know. But in the meantime, in the absolute meantime, hold on here. Let me just. I keep forgetting this number. I'm trying to find something and I keep forgetting where it is. It is at. Okay. All right. Again, lot to get to. Just have to do that real quick. Thank you guys all for sitting with me on that one there. So why don't we, no, we haven't gotten to the Grace Crazy talk yet. Let me just look through my lineup here of certain things. Let's talk about this one, because this is one that I think a lot of people out there, there we go, will find definitely interesting. Now, I'm a big fan of the old Gothic horror. I'm a big fan of the Universal monsters. I'm a big fan of the concept of Dracula. I always have been. I've always enjoyed the movies, you know, from Boris Karloff to Christopher Lee to Bram Stoker to even more of like the kind of like, you know, like the Dracula 2000 AD, right? That was pretty terrible from back like 21 years ago and things like that. Or even the 2014 Dracula movie starring Luke Evans that they tried to shoehorn into the dark universe at that time for Universal. I've always liked the character of Dracula. And so when you find out that Dracula is going to be played by Nicolas Cage in an upcoming Universal monster movie, Renfield, it is going to be very, very, very fun, especially at this point in Nick Cage's career where he has kind of hit peak, who cares, peak, I'm just going to do Pig and then followed up with Prisoners of the Ghostlands or whatever else I want to do. And he's doing movies he wants to make, and now he's going to be playing Dracula, which is why I used the image that I did on the thumbnail here, because it is also, it's terrible, by the way. I had very little time to work with Photoshop. I'll probably have to do something a little bit better for the thumbnail, but I'm really excited to see what's going to be happening here with this. So let's find out more. According to Deadline here, or sorry, The Hollywood Reporter, Nicolas Cage has made a career of biting into roles with seemingly reckless abandon, even as he strayed further and further from studio movie making. It sunk his teeth into indie cinema, which, let's not minimize that. That his no one can, I think, argue a better kind of comeback in some regard than Nicolas Cage in regards to like his indie stuff. So now a deal sealed with a vampire's kiss. Cage is returning to a big studio movie and will play the meaty role of Dracula in Universal Pictures' monster movie Renfield. Nicholas Hoult is starring as the titular character, the vampire's count, infamous acolyte and henchman, and the feature directed by Chris McKay, the helmer behind Amazon's The Tomorrow War and the Lego Batman movie. And McKay and Robert Kirkman are producing. So Robert Kirkman of Walking Dead fame. And this is going to be pretty cool. Now, there was another report that came out. I couldn't find the screenshot. Again, I don't know if the tweet got deleted, but essentially the movie is being touted as an action comedy, not a thriller. It's being touted as really, while everyone's going to be talking about Nicolas Cage as Dracula, and I think we're going to get like as nuanced a performance as we got with, let's say, Gary Oldman and Bram Stoker's Dracula. But I feel that, whatever we get, I really want to see what Nicolas Cage brings to the table on this. I think it's going to be a blast. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But apparently Nicholas Hoult is the person that is going to be like the big draw here. So what I was reading, and I think it was from Aaron Couch or someone else at THR who was talking about this. And they said that the action comedy aspect of it is going to be focused around Renfield, Nicholas Holt's character. And that if you've seen the show The Great on Hulu, then you can see how funny Nicholas Hoult can be. And that's effectively what they're trying to do, is tap into that humor to make it that kind of comedy. Now, Chris McKay, the Lego Batman movie was pretty funny. I haven't seen The Tomorrow War, but I've heard good things about it. And the guy was supposed to do like Dungeons and Dragons and a Nightwing movie, but now he's doing this Dracula film Renfield, just to make sure we're correct on that one. And I'm looking forward to it. I think, look, I'll tell you this, the only other person I'd want to see tackle Dracula in this kind of action comedy would be like Vin Diesel or something. I think that would just be for the campiness. I think they're going for Nicolas Cage being able to chew the scenery the way that he does, being able to command the attention in the way that he does, is definitely something that could work well for this. And I go back probably to my favorite Nicolas Cage performance of all time. And I know he won an Oscar for Leaving Las Vegas back in the 90s and blah, 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 blah. But I would argue that my favorite Nicolas Cage performance was Big Daddy in 2010's Kick-Ass, because the way that he played that role was like super kind of out of left field at the time for him. Like he threw everything in to being that character. I mean, coming off like The Rock and Face Off and the National Treasure movies and other things he had done in the early 2000s and the late 90s, coming into, let's say, Kick-Ass was just kind of like this different role for him entirely, where it worked and people loved it. And there were talk at the times of like a Best Supporting Actor nomination, and that this is a Nicolas Cage that we know and that we love. And then from there, he's had some questionable choices, but in recent years, he's just kind of come back and done literally a multitude of different films that have been praised and lauded and even hated in some respects, but no one out there is going to argue against how Nicolas Cage simply hit peak fuck it mode, and we're in this position of just having it be pretty great. So I would be, I think that'd be pretty, I'd be okay with that, right? Fourth here says, I want to see Vin Diesel do Shakespeare. Damn straight. Captain James Biggians here says, Vin Diesel, that would work. He did Pitch Black really well. And you thought he was a vampire because of the eye shine. I get that, man. I get that. Yeah, I think Vin Diesel would also chew scenery in a way to make it kind of campy. And I don't know if the levels of camp are going to be any different. I'm just hoping that I'm hoping, look, as big of a not Mel Gibson, I am a Mel Gibson fan, but as big as a Mel Brooks fan as I am, Mel Brooks' last directorial effort was like 96's Dracula Dead and Loving It. And it was not a good movie. And I hate the fact that his career after that, like kind of just, that was the end of it. And it's possible that with Anne Bancroft dying, I think around that time, maybe he just lost the will. I get that. But like that was camp and not necessarily in a very funny way. Never mind the fact that it had Leslie Nielsen in it and a wide variety of great actors. It was definitely one that I'm hoping that they don't emulate on this. But when you talk about Nicholas Hoult, I really want to see him play something funnier, because the last thing I saw him in that I felt was like pretty good was the one where he played a zombie. You know, like I forget what it's called, but like the zombie movie where like they reversed the zombie virus and whatever. I thought that was pretty funny. I don't know why I can't think of the name right now. I know it came out like in 2012, but he was pretty good in that. And you know, and of course I've always liked him as Beast, but I think seeing him in something where he gets to kind of emote more is going to be pretty good. So there's definitely that one here. Oh yeah, B here says, oh, Gibson is apparently playing Santa. Oh no, he did in Fat Man that came out a year ago. And if you haven't seen Fat Man, you're missing out. That is a very, very, very fantastic movie here. Oh right, that's right. Yeah, Music Man is right. Nick Cage was in Vampire's Kiss. That's right. And you liked the Weatherman. I thought you were going to say the Wicker Man. Oh, the bees. Which, by the way, this fan art of Three Buck Theater that somebody made has a very much inspired by the Wicker Man, and I still need to get this drawn and put on a t-shirt. So obviously there's that. So I'm excited for this one. I can't wait to see what happens with it. As always, I want to hear about this. Oh right. It was Warm Bodies is the one I'm thinking of. Thank you very much on that one, Mladen. But yeah, so Nicolas Cage as a vampire. Yeah, hell yeah. Let's see what happens with that, because it should be a fair amount of fun. If nothing else, it's going to be a fair amount of fun. All right, so let's take a look here. What was this I saw? What do I think? Music Man asks, what are my thoughts on J.K. Rowling not being allowed at the reunion for Harry Potter? You know, I think it's kind of interesting that she's not going to be in it, but at the same time, I kind of get it, because she's, you know, they don't want to court controversy, even though they probably should. You know, I mean, like that's just kind of the way that I view it, is just like they should probably just let it be controversial and let it go from there. But you know, they're afraid. They're afraid of the negative press. They're afraid of the negative everything. All of these companies these days are just afraid of being canceled, I guess, or afraid of everything that comes with it. And I understand that. Look, I'll tell you guys this, you know, everyone knows my shitty ass stupid past, right? I have a stupid fucking past. I've said a lot of dumb things a long time ago. I was courting a very different audience back then. And, you know, and it's people are, no matter what happens, someone's going to try to use it against me. You know, and at some point in time, it's going to be effective. There's no way around that. There's no way that it's not going to be effective in some capacity. Someone is going to get cold feet from working with me. And even people in this space, they get harassed all the time because they associate with me, because they don't like my take. And so people want to come out and criticize my take, and they want to criticize my past actions. Never mind, I'm not that person. Never mind, I've apologized and acknowledge my faults. That's kind of the whole point, is with J.K. Rowling, she has an opinion, and a lot of people out there disagree with that opinion, but she also kind of keeps going with it. And it's more of a stubborn thing at this point, rather than just like moving on with her life and not hurting the thing that she has spent all of these decades building that turned her into a literal billionaire. I think it's kind of ridiculous, and I think she should probably like pull her head out of her ass, if you want my honest opinion. But people are going to disagree. Okay. Sorry, had to get a drink of water there because there's still a lot to get through tonight. So why don't we talk about my favorite person and your favorite person? Obviously, what I'm talking about here is Mace Randolph, the scooper extraordinaire, who has been making an interesting name for herself today by popping up a couple of key tidbits here that are getting some pushback. as well as getting a lot of people kind of calling it out. And let's see here. So first up on her Twitter, she dropped this a couple hours ago. She says, "Whoa, I hear Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are in talks to head over to the movie side of Star Wars. That would be brilliant." And the thing is, she's not wrong. She's not wrong. Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau heading over from Disney Plus to the theatrical side of things is probably ultimately for the best for Star Wars on a theatrical level. All right. Now, if you were here last night, I covered that kind of topic in this video right here. Star Wars feature on Disney Plus. RJ and I talked about it for a while. That's up on last night's episode. The individual video is going to drop this weekend when I'm not doing the show, but that will be coming out. And we talked about how really Star Wars is going to find itself in better position, quite frankly, for having itself be out there on streaming. I think it's in a better position on streaming because it's going to be able to reach more people. It's going to be able to build a more dedicated fan base. And then if they do follow the Marvel method, which would be establishing characters on Disney Plus and then moving them into the theatrical, then from there, we would be able to see that brand loyalty come back in to the theaters. But a lot of other people have argued that it's possibly better for Star Wars to remain an event franchise in theaters rather than something that's like Marvel, which has become serialized, must-see TV, film of the week sort of thing. And maybe they're right. But we can get a lot more out of Star Wars on Disney Plus and then move that into the big screen in order to go from there. But that wasn't the only thing that she dropped. And this is the one that's getting the pushback. So she also says here that also Star Wars is trying to bring back these characters, even Adam Driver, most likely for Disney Plus, but movies not out of the question. I would love to see them come back with properly developed stories. Now, the reason why this one is getting a lot of pushback is because Adam Driver did say the other day in an interview that he would return to Star Wars. He would not be against returning to Star Wars, provided that it was a filmmaker driven property. He is all about working with good filmmakers. He is all about working with the kind of people who are going to push him as an actor and push the bounds of storytelling, which is probably why he likes working with Ridley Scott, why he tried 2 Ridley Scott films in 2 months, and both have effectively kind of went iffy. Not Adam Driver's fault, but it's just, I think, wrong time of year. So the thing with the Adam Driver thing is one thing, but the other part kind of comes from this right here. So in the most recent Empire issue, January 2022, all about the Book of Boba Fett, there is an interview with Kathleen Kennedy where she does talk about the future to an extent of the sequel trilogy characters, which is something that, I'll be honest with you guys, I don't really care about. I don't know if you guys care about any of the sequel trilogy characters. I don't know if you want to see more coming out of the sequel trilogy characters. I personally don't. I think let that go for right now. If you're going to go back to that world, go a couple 100 years in the future and start over that fresh. However, Kathleen Kennedy was hinting that Star Wars could see a return of the sequel trilogy characters. And this is what it says. In an interview with Empire Magazine, Kennedy teased that Rey, Finn, and Poe are not gone forever, saying here, certainly, those are not characters we're going to forget. They'll live on. And those are conversations that are going on with the creative team as well. And Kennedy did make comments similar to this back in 2017 when she revealed that she and the team of creative executives at Lucasfilm were looking at narratively where that might go for future stories beyond Episode 9 with these characters, Rey, Poe, Finn, and BB-8. But the thing is that they're not really interested in doing that. I mean, like, Finn has come out and made claims of the issues. John Boyega has had his issues about how the racial stereotyping happened and how he felt this as a black actor in the role. Oscar Isaac has not really said anything about it coming off of, playing Poe Dameron in Episode 9. He's, I think, more happy right now going over to Moon Knight. It gives him something to do. And Daisy Ridley definitely would come back because she hasn't really had a lot of, I would argue, opportunity since then. Now, granted, the Death on the Nile has been delayed, and that had a lot to do with Armie Hammer and his particular brand of, you know, delicacies that he enjoyed to indulge in, never mind the accusations levied against him, and that's causing a bit of problem for that for right now. But when we think about the sequel trilogy and where things are going to go with that, obviously the fans aren't really there for it. I'm sorry. You know, I'm going to the mall or I'm going over to Costco and I'm seeing, like, you know, a shit ton of Baby Yoda merch, and I'm seeing like Star Wars stuff that's more centered around the Mandalorian and Boba Fett. Now I know that the Book of Boba Fett drops here in just less than a month, which is amazing. And I know that's going to be the next big push, and they're shooting Mandalorian season 3 right now. I know all of those things, but let's be fair. The Star Wars brand itself was damaged coming off of the sequel trilogy. And one of the key things that's saving it is the concept of Mandalorian and Star Wars streaming on Disney Plus. And that, my friends, is probably like the best thing for it right now, is to stay there and to not go into the sequel trilogy. At this point, they don't need to expand upon the sequel trilogy past it. They need to build a pathway towards it that connects the dots and opens up the universe for more understanding of why things happened the way that they happened, because then it's going to give people a better understanding of some of the choices that they made for that particular franchise for that sequel trilogy. And I know that a lot of people are going to disagree with me on that, and they're just going to say, let it go, let it die, you know, kill it if you have to, sort of thing. But we're talking about a multi-billion-dollar company here who is trying to create a through line that is trying to get people to watch the movies in China and then become fans that will then become fans of the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy and the Disney Plus shows and all of that stuff. And that is what they've been working on now for a couple of years, and they're going to continue working on that until they get it. And so I'm telling you guys, as right now, the best thing for Star Wars is not for John and Dave to go over to the theatrical side. What it is they need to focus on the Disney Plus side, establish new characters, establish a new fan base, and then build from there. However, one of the things I saw was from Corey, what was his name? He's one of the guys from, I really honestly forget who is it here? Oh, Corey Van Dyke from, from formerly of a Star Wars show. I forgot what it was. He tweeted out January 22nd, 2021, that for 2027, there's an untitled Disney Star Wars film that is slated for release December 17th, 2027, and that he says that it's a Mandalorian film. And we did hear talks, I believe, from Bob Iger, one of the executives of Disney, right around the time The Mandalorian dropped, which said that it's possible that we might see these characters make their way over to the big screen. And the truth of the matter is, that is the event I think a lot of fans are waiting for. That is the event that a lot of people are wanting to get their hands on. And I think that, quite frankly, will really, really, really benefit what's going on with Star Wars. So that is simply my take on that one, right? Mike Oxlong here says, for $2, buddy, thank you. No more Mary Sue Skywalker, please. I'll take Ben. I would love a Knights of Ren series. I would love to be able to see what with that. And I'm really hoping that we do get a bit more out of it here. Skywalker Brian from skywalkingadventure.com says, Matt, from my end, if the talks are happening and they really need to amp up more of the characters for Galaxy's Edge that takes place in the sequel trilogy, like to me, I think that could likely work out. See, here's the thing with that, man. I'm telling you, the biggest problem that Disney had was looking at the sequel trilogy and trying to build a theme park around a property that was ending. You know what I mean? Like around a property that was ending. Like they launched it in May of 2019, 6 months before literally the end of the First Order. They already creatively backed themselves into a corner with all this, especially because they were getting ready to launch Mandalorian and everything. They need to adjust Galaxy's Edge to go back in time. Right? They need to go back in time and set Galaxy's Edge during The Mandalorian, during the post Return of the Jedi era, that 30-year period. Now, I know that's going to mess with everything in regards to Rise of the Resistance, but perhaps maybe they should treat that kind of like, Star Tours and just eventually revamp the ride. If everything is already there, they could, I'm not saying that it's going to be cheap, but they could revamp it. I mean, I've watched the videos of Rise of the Resistance, and it looks like an amazing ride, and I really, really, really want to do it. But it's like they could easily just go back and tweak it out to something with maybe like a remnant of the Empire that's still hanging around, and reuse a lot of the same stuff. And it would be something maybe a bit different. But that's what I think they should reboot that stuff too. They need Batuu to be amazing, and it's not amazing. It's not amazing. It's just it's not the best that it could be. So that is something that I'm hoping is going to be resolved here very, very, very soon. But in the meantime, we'll have to wait to see what happens with the sequel guys, if they go over to anything else, or if Grace is right or wrong. It's up to you. I want to hear your thoughts. Do you feel Grace is right? Do you feel Grace is wrong? Definitely let me know. Okay. All right here. Why don't we take a quick second? Let me get a drink of water here. And what are you guys saying here? Oh, I think I saw Mladen say that he saw. Sorry, I must have missed it there, because I thought I saw Mladen say he saw the last duel and that it wasn't good. I want to see it, hold on here. Fourth tier says, in order to fix Galaxy's Edge, it's bypass the compressor, huh? Bypass that, huh? I mean, like I don't know, could be I don't know. I don't even know what you're trying to say there, man. Like, I got a little, I thought I had a joke. It fell flat. That happens sometimes, guys. I'm not always the funniest, guys. Rational here says the sequel trilogy characters need to be done justice with the Filoni treatment. Now, okay, fine. Fine. I mean, you can argue that, you can argue that point a little bit, but I do also think that it's like, I don't want those characters to get the Filoni treatment. I really don't. I feel like it's a distraction from what people really care about, which is The Mandalorian. That's my whole point. Anyway, Mladen here says, I started watching The Last Duel yesterday. It's really not that good. The story and character development are rushed. Still need to finish the hour and 30 minute of 2 hour and 38 minute runtime. Yeah, it's long, man. I did hear that the duel part is pretty badass, is what I heard. Geek in Review says, I can see them coming back as an animated. She like the Clone Wars to fill in the blanks. See, I would be okay with that too. I would be okay with that too. I think it's gonna be okay. Anthony here says, what character do you think the actress that was recently cast in Ahsoka is gonna play? I was gonna talk about this last night. I had I don't have that information up with me right now, because it's kind of like I didn't know if I could trust the info. I talked about her potentially being Mara Jade very briefly last night. And people said that it's a new, I think Deadline reported that it's a new character for the Ahsoka show. But she kind of has that Mara Jade look about her. So I was just kind of questioning that. And then Giant Freaking Robot put out an article. And I don't know when they put it out, because the way that they drop their information, it all says like this article was dropped like 36 seconds ago. And so you can't put an accurate timeline on it, which is going to be very weird. But it's possible, but they're saying that Mara Jade is getting her own television series for Disney Plus. That's what they were saying. And it's like, I don't know how much I trust Giant Freaking Robot. I know people who do, but they say things that are so vague, and it reads like we got this covered, that it's so difficult to tell. So at that point in time, I'll probably just end up waiting for what Mikey Sutton has to say, good or bad on that one, I guess. So we'll have to go from there. Mike here says, I should invite Grace onto the show. She blocked me a while ago. I forget why she blocked me, but she basically blocks anyone who mocks her. And I've poked fun. John Campia has blocked me because I told him that his opinion on Loki episode 3 was wrong. I mean, not the best thing to get blocked over, but it happens. It happens sometimes, This is what goes on with everything. as we work through all of this stuff. But all right, why don't we dive into probably the last story of the night? And it's one that I'm very kind of like interested to talk about predominantly because look, Hawkeye dropped the other day and it came out, again, it had good reviews. People seem to like it. But then this weird narrative popped up, right? Where it says here that Hawkeye viewership is 40% behind a Loki premiere in the Samba measured Disney Plus homes. Now, Samba has been getting a lot of love this year, especially following the release of the Snyder Cut, where they were saying that it was about, I think it was like, I forget how many people they said watched, 1.8 million people watched it the opening weekend. And it wasn't as much as Wonder Woman 84, which had 2.2 million, I think 1.8 million for Snyder Cut. And then they've kind of been talking about it over the course of the year. And people have been, really kind of buying into it. And I get it. Samba, though, again, like the Nielsen rating, it's an average, I think. And I don't put a lot of faith into these things myself. But this is what the article says here. It says that according to the latest streaming viewership stats from Samba TV, which measures 3 million U.S. households, and what they are streaming over a 5-minute increment, that the first episode number of Hawkeye trails the 5-day U.S. household viewership figure for Disney Plus, and Marvel's Loki, which was watched by 2.5 million homes over the June 9th through 13th by negative 40%. Or 40%, I don't know. Hawkeye's first episode premiere also ranks behind Loki's finale, which pulled in 1.9 million homes over the 5-day per Samba. Hawkeye's 5-day is also behind the 3-day premieres of Disney Plus, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and WandaVision. The number of Disney Plus subscribers currently stands at 118.1 million worldwide, with roughly more than a third of that coming from North America. Now, the thing to remember with Samba TV is it's very specific, like Samsung television that they use. So it's only an average, and Disney's not going to put out that kind of information. They haven't put out that kind of information, but I guarantee you it's probably doing pretty well. Now, there's another metric that I think we should go by here, and one that I think is actually probably more interesting and a better indicator of the popularity of a show like Hawkeye. And here's why. So comicbook.com ran an article tonight, said Venom Let There Be Carnage, Hawkeye, top current list of pirated shows and films. Now, I know what you're thinking, Matt, what are you doing talking about piracy? Do you want Kevin Feige and that sniper rifle meme to come aiming at your head from across the way because you're talking about pirating Hawkeye? I'm not talking about pirating Hawkeye. I'm talking about how piracy is a great way to indicate the trend of how something is doing. I know that sounds weird, but believe it or not, Game of Thrones was bragging about how often they were pirated during the whole thing with the first couple seasons of that show. And to give you guys just a random example of this, at the beginning of Game of Thrones, I think at the end of Game of Thrones season 1, 4 million people pirated the season finale. And 4 million people watched the season finale on HBO Max. By the end of the series finale, you had 19 million watching it live, 19 million pirated it. That is how big that show got over the span of those 8 years in regards to not only viewership, which would be money for HBO Max, as well as the piracy amount that people had watched it. And they knew, and this is something that all film studios and these guys, they know, but they don't ever want to talk about, is that piracy is a good indicator for how well something is, because it has been, if I remember correctly, they have done studies that show that people who pirate are actually some of the more higher spenders for the content, either down the road or something along those lines. Again, it's an older study. I'm trying to remember the very specifics of it, but piracy does not hurt them as often as they like to argue. But let's find out more. So Musso, an anti-piracy and analytics company, revealed that Marvel's live-action heroes are among the most pirated shows and films. According to Deadline, Musso's findings show that Hawkeye attracted 26.7% of all illegal TV show downloads, torrents, and streams during the observed period of November 22nd through 28th. This makes Hawkeye the most pirated show of the week, ahead of The Wheel of Time, Dexter, New Blood, Star Trek Discovery, and Arcane. Similarly, Venom Let There Be Carnage was the most pirated movie of the week, claiming 38.3% of all pirated film activity. The other movies in that list include No Time to Die, Shang-Chi, Red Notice, and Dune. And so that's something there to consider, where the number one pirated show of the week, right? The number one pirated show of the week was absolutely freaking Hawkeye. And I mean, like, doesn't that kind of seem like interesting? You know, doesn't that kind of seem a little bit on the interesting side where you're like, all right. Let's see. Let me, if I can find this, I'm trying to see if I can find the article on torrentfreak.com that talks about the television side of things. I know they talk about the movie side, but, you can find, you can generally find through these websites how much things are pirated. And that gives you a good idea, for, how well they're doing, how popular they are. And I know that sounds like a weird way of looking at it, but it is very much just kind of how it is. I can't find any article about the television shows, but maybe it's out there somewhere. However, again, with this whole thing, I don't think Hawkeye is a flop. I know people out there have been trying to argue that it's a flop. The usual suspects are attacking it as being a flop, but really what it boils down to is that the show, is still being watched by millions and millions of people. And that as the show goes on, word of mouth wise, more and more people are going to watch it. That is how these things work. I do feel that part of the lackluster buildup to it has a lot to do with What If. And I say that not because What If was bad, but What If was different enough to cause enough people to kind of stop and go, I don't quite know if it's everything I want it to be. And then maybe they dipped out by the end because it wasn't connected. Hawkeye also isn't a prime Avenger. I mean, he is a prime Avenger. Everyone knows who he is, but it's like, he's not like, it's not Elizabeth Olsen in WandaVision and like the quirky nature of that. It's not Captain America or Falcon and Winter Soldier, who've been around for a while, in their own stuff and their own kind of standalone stuff. Hawkeye appeared in Avengers Age of Ultron, Civil War, Thor in that cameo, Infinity War, and Endgame. Like no standalone movie, not popping up really in another film in a significant role that wasn't kind of an Avengers 2.5. So he's not the most popular, but word of mouth is actually going to do really well for this show as it goes on, especially if some of those rumors turn out to be true, and especially with the introduction of Echo, as we start kind of closing the gap on that Daredevil connection in my mind. So I definitely think that it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with all that. With any luck, we will be getting more as time goes on, but that's, getting more info is what I mean. But I don't think Hawkeye is a flop. But I always want to hear your thoughts about it. So definitely let me know. All right, guys. That's I think that's all the stories I got for right now. Kind of like not there's anything else I've saved up here. Let me just double check. Let me take a quick look here to see if I have it all. I might actually. All right. Okay. Hold on. There we go. Okay. Let me take a look here at my stuff. So do I got, well, yeah. Oh, there's a couple things I got here. So, we talked about all that. Did you guys see this? This is, Henry Cavill posted a selfie from the set of The Witcher season 2 from his quote unquote private collection. That's pretty cool, right? That's pretty good. That's pretty dope. Then you've got, The Matrix, because that's coming out here pretty soon, a few weeks away from that. Entertainment Weekly dropped a new interview with everybody, as well as a couple new images, like Carrie-Anne Moss and Keanu doing their thing. I'll tell you, I'm so excited to see Trinity and Neo back together in one way or another. Carrie-Anne Moss is still looking absolutely gorgeous, and I am just excited. And I like that they kind of softened Keanu up here to where he looks less like John Wick, but standing next to Carrie-Anne Moss, he does seem very Thomas Anderson-esque, very Neo-esque, and I'm excited to see where that whole thing goes. So the thing is, All right, so let's we'll do a couple minutes of chit chat with you guys. Apparently, Saggy is still streaming over with Integrity. Is that still going on? I see people talking about that a little bit, but we'll get to some questions here. Dalton asking Disney Plus versus Netflix, which is better for you right now? Disney Plus, just because I have kids and I watch a lot of that. Netflix, I feel like, has so much content. It's very difficult for me to kind of find something that I want to watch. There's things that I want to watch that I haven't watched yet that I need to. But I definitely want to check that out. Brian here says, if Venom 2 is not allowed to be shown in China due to Tom Hardy's comments being anti-China in some interview back in 2012. I mean, dude, I've said anti-China things. And so, yeah, China's got China doesn't need Hollywood. They want it because it's money, but they don't need it. They pump out their own movies all the damn time. And, basically, if we'll have to wait and see how they figure that one out. All right, let's see. Rational Skeptic here says Jeremy Renner told Disney he wants to spend more time with his daughter. If Disney didn't grant that to him, he said to recast the role. Yeah, well, there was that big issue with his ex trying to label him as like some domestic abuser or something over the custody battle, if I recall, a while back. So I totally get all that. The Watcher here says that Hawkeye is mostly just to set up Daredevil, Young Avengers, and other street level characters anyway. It's essentially just a setup show, but there's some interesting stuff coming for the show. I like it. I really like the first couple episodes. I know that new episode drops in like less than an hour. So I'm gonna have to go check that one out. There's BioShock. I saw, you sent me something about BioShock 4, Brian, didn't you? I didn't care for BioShock Infinite. I didn't care for that at all. HRS here says, head over to $4 Cinema for Chat Marbo. Shut up. Do we have a Chud Watch for the night? We actually don't have a Chud Watch for the night. Nothing that's been sent my way. So, maybe tomorrow if something happens, we'll check out a bad take. I saw, Josh ask about the mod status. Yeah, man, I always need more mods. We do get rated occasionally. So I'm definitely, on board with having a few more mods out there and people who are, who are pretty frequent to the chat. I don't have any problem modding people on that front there. So, okay. Let me see here. What do we got? Anything else here? So wait, hold on. So when will I be cast in the MCU? That ain't gonna happen, man. Like that ain't gonna. I mean, who would I play in the MCU? Right? Like where would I show up? Bottom rung bullshit where I'd show up. There we go. All right. Let's see. Mo here says Matt laughed at my take on Fan Forstick. I did. Dalton here says Zack Snyder Care Bear movie. Yeah. B, that was brought up the other night. We were joking about Zack Snyder directing a Care Bear movie. I'd be okay. I'd be okay with that one here. All right. So Matt is in the MCU as MJ. Yeah, as myself. Take it. Matt Jarbo, the MCU Hoffman for JJJ. I don't quite. What is the Philip Seymour Hoffman? I don't know what that means. I can be Puck from Alpha Flight. I don't know who that is. Honestly, I don't know these obscure characters, man. They're lost on me, man. They're lost on me. Mo Moon here says I expected an apology and want to be wined and dined. No, you're not. I'm sorry, buddy. Sorry. I did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. But okay, let's see here. Rational here says, can Peter at least get laid by Mary Jane in No Way Home? I would like Peter to pop his at this point, maybe they will. Who knows? Maybe they will. Maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe he'll get lucky. But they put a sex scene. They put a sex scene in Eternals. Maybe there's a sex scene in No Way Home. Maybe we'll get lucky. What's my wish list for Better Call Saul for the last season? I don't know. I've only seen like the first 4 episodes of season 1. I haven't watched it. I know I need to. I hear Better Call Saul is better than Breaking Bad. So, and I know Gus Fring is back, which is just dope. Let's see. Rainbow the Gamer says you should watch that Midnight's Edge video with Cameron Pash about Star Wars. You know what? We'll watch it tomorrow. It's a bit on the long side. So today there's just a lot that I was kind of going through. Did I see that hour-long spoof of Tim Pool and Joe Brogan? Oh, right. Tim Heidecker did that. I didn't see it. I've heard about it, but I didn't see it. RPK says no Snyderverse slander tonight. No. We're fine. We're good. We're good on that one, man. We're good on that one. I have nothing to say about the Snyderverse tonight outside of I'd like to see it continue. That's where I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to try to be more positive on this one, guys. Try to be a little more positive here. Let's see. John Campy, I saw Toby's ball clip, and that's a chunky saw. Probably did. Yeah, that's true. Mo Moon says, can I at least get some of that deer jerky from that deer you killed with your bare hands? I didn't kill that deer with my bare hands. That deer died on my property. All right. I don't know how that deer died. That deer, there was no discernible damage to the carcass of that deer. It just dropped dead on my property. And then I had to physically drag it to the street. And that part sucked. Have I seen the live action Halo series trailer? I just saw the tease. Is there, wait, hold on. Oh, Puck looks, very tiny, very short there, Jess. Thank you. Have I seen the scalper prize for No Way Home ticket prices? What do you mean? I know the scalper price. I know there's a guy that was offering up 25,000, right? I was actually covering it live when that thing went live, but everyone's whatever. Jarbo is Jimmy Olsen in the DCAU. You guys are crazy. You guys are crazy. Davey here says, I forgot about that deer. I didn't forget about that deer. Cause I had to deal with it until that family showed up and then just took its corpse. And I'm not making that up either. Some family pulled up on my driveway, jumped out and ganked a 2-day-old carcass of a dead deer, but it was cold. So it was still pretty preserved, but I don't know what they did with it. And I don't ask those kind of questions. So there's that one, but all right. Let's see here. Oh, damn it. I wasn't paying attention. Who gave super chats tonight? Cause I'm going to do the Alita giveaway on one of them right now. So let's see. I know we didn't get that many. That's not a dig at anybody. It's just the end of the month. I get it. Let me just, bring that up here to the supers page. All right. So we got a couple here. All right. RPK. You have won a 4K of Alita Battle Angel. I just need you to DM me on Twitter your address, and I will put it in an envelope, and I will mail it off to you this week. So RPK wins. Yay! All right. Alita Battle Angel, great stuff. And then as for the channel member who won, I'm going to go look at that. I'll talk about that tomorrow. Let's see here real quick. So yay, RPK. It's a good stuff. Sure. What did Grace say? We covered that a while back. Jester says, sorry, Matt, Cyber Monday and Black Friday took our money. Hey, I'm not knocking that. How do you think I bought Alita in 4K? I bought a couple copies of it because it was Black Friday deals. I completely get that. It's all good. It's all fine. Jarbo has Lex Luthor in DCU. Yeah. Okay. What about this Mr. Beast plagiarizing Squid Game for his own video? I mean, it's like one of the biggest videos of all time. You know what? I might talk about that tomorrow. Cause it is entertainment related, but apparently if I talk about another YouTuber, I'm just clout chasing. I get that accusation all the time. But I do want to see it. Rainbow here says you killed Rudolph. Oh my God. So, all right, guys, on that note, we hit 1 hour and 45 minutes. It's a little bit of a shorter episode tonight, but there was a lot of stuff here. As always, We hit a high of, I think, around about 107 people watching at some point in time. That is amazing. That is great. Thank you all so much for that one. The streams have been growing and growing and growing, and you guys are an amazing, amazing, amazing group of people. Thank you again. If you guys haven't already, please, if you want, slap that like, help out the channel. Definitely, check back tomorrow night when we talk about, I don't know, whatever goes on. A lot of stuff could be happening. And I'm going to go and finish all this stuff up and go watch Hawkeye and go to bed. So I'll see you all later. Have yourself a great evening. Thank you again, guys, and peace, though.